If you're a venture-backed startup, you're very likely to fail, but not for the reason that you think. In fact, the number one reason that scale stage companies fail is not due to a lack of growth, but by mismanaging that growth and scaling up too quickly. So I'm going to go over the top 5 reasons that scale stage companies fail and how you can overcome them. I'm Eric Weiss, SaaS executive coach and founder of the Chaos to Clarity Accelerator. So let's jump right in. So reason number one that scale stage companies fail is a lack of clarity in their vision, strategy, and goals. So when you're a small startup, everybody's in the same room, everybody is collaborating and fully aligned on what you're trying to accomplish. And typically your business is fairly simple. But as you start to scale up and grow, things get more complicated, timelines get longer, there's more and more people involved in the process, and it just gets more complicated. And then teams get misaligned. They are working on things that aren't aligned with the strategic objectives of the company, and a bunch of time and money is wasted. And this causes the companies to first stagnate and then ultimately drive into the ground. So the first thing you have to do when you see that you have product market fit and you're starting to scale up, and certainly once you raise that next big round of funding, is to have a crystal clear vision of the future, a strategy for how you're going to get there, and then goals that you can set up and knock down every step of the way, right? It's like if you're up at bat and you're trying to hit a home run, you got to be able to see past first base, all right? So that's number one. Number two reason why scale stage companies fail is due to a lack of scalability in their systems and processes themselves, right? So they've got tools and technology. They've got data that lives in spreadsheets. They have manual processes or processes that aren't well documented. And none of these things scale. And the problem here is that when we hit a scale stage, change starts to happen so rapidly, we can't react to it quickly enough, right? And especially if there are people in the mix, people only scale linearly by adding more of them. They don't scale exponentially, right? And so when we reach a scale stage and you start to hit an inflection point, that's where our old systems and processes break down. So what we have to do at this stage is prepare for growth. And there's a mental model I like to do where I say, how big is your house right now? How many square feet? Maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 square feet. Okay, now imagine that at 10x the size. Imagine a 10,000 or a 20,000 square foot house. What would that look like? And how would you manage it? How would you even get around and use the space? And what would be the team that you would need to manage that household differently than what you have today? So that's the same thing when we talk about our companies. We throw around this number of 10x growth and take it at face value. But a 10x increase in growth is an incredibly dramatic change in what our team looks like and how we work, right? So make sure that you have a plan. What are we going to do at 2x, at 5x, and at 10x? What are the different parts and processes that are going to break? And have an intentional plan to get there and overcome it. All right. Number three reason why scale stage companies fail is talent. Obviously, we got to feed the beast at this stage, right? We're growing so quickly. Our teams are expanding. We might be expanding into new markets or launching new products or new feature lines. And we need people to fill those roles, right? Well, early on, when you were the one, or you and your co-founders or your VPs were doing all of the recruiting yourself, again, it doesn't scale. And so what we either do is we don't hire quickly enough, right? And the demand drags us down, or we hire too quickly and we don't have a rigorous process and we hire a whole bunch of B players and we end up sucking at that next level, right? So just as with our infrastructure and our technology needing to scale, our hiring needs to scale as well. And that doesn't mean just hiring a bunch of third-party recruiters. It means being incredibly systematic about how and when we open a new role, how we recruit, a systematic and scorecarded way to evaluate and hire people, and then also onboarding them, right? Not just to make sure that we get them in the door, but that we actually keep them and make them thrive. Okay. So I would say this is actually just as much, if not more important than engineering your product and even scaling up your technology, is how are we going to scale up our team to ensure that we're getting top quality talent? Okay. Number three reason why scale stage companies fail is simple financial mismanagement. In the early stages, we might have a financial model and it's probably in a spreadsheet, but you're probably more focused on the revenue projections that you're sharing with your board and your investors, rather than really having a deep understanding of your operations and especially your costs. And that spreadsheet that you built is not going to get you where you need to go. So at this stage, it's important to have a CFO. It's important that every single department owns their budget and is accountable to their costs and their cost overrun. And all of that is reported back. So this is the point at which, your marketing, your engineering, your product, your design, et cetera, they all start to take ownership over their section of the budget and become stewards of the cash that is the lifeblood of your company. All right. And finally, number 5 reason why scale stage companies fail is they lose connection with their customers. All right. Now, if you know anything about me, I am all about being customer centric, and I'm all about doing the one thing that doesn't scale, which is get to know your customers, talk to your customers all the time, never lose that connection. In fact, so I've coached CEOs of billion-dollar companies, right, with thousands of employees, and I ensure that every single one of them continuously engages with their customers, because it doesn't matter if you're an idea stage startup or a multinational global corporation. If you don't truly understand your customers right now, today, you're losing touch, and eventually you're going to lose your advantage in your position in the market. So obviously we do the thing that doesn't scale, but we also have to scale that thing as well, which means this is the stage in which we have to automate, right? And systematically gain feedback loops from our customers and from the market. So embedding, product analytics, data analytics into our platform, in-app feedback and surveys and NPS surveys, going out and doing outreach and usability testing and focus groups and all the things that we do to try to get not only, specific feedback from individuals, but also something quantifiable and at scale. Okay. So these are the top 5 reasons that scale stage companies can fail. Some quick recommendations that you can focus on and implement to make sure that you aren't left behind. But obviously it's really a lot more complicated and difficult than this. So if you are a company that is entering the scale stage or are fully in your scale up process, you need some help. This is an area that I focus. So reach out, connect with me. Let's hop on a call and see if I can help you scale up effectively.